everyone. So this video that I'm going to be doing today was highly requested, and I wanted to wait to do it until I had really secured my plans and things like that for after graduation, so I can finally confirm that I have. I've talked about that in other videos, so I'm not going to go too deep into like my personal story and like what I'm doing and stuff, because there's plenty of vlogs and videos that explain that. But yes, I do have a job lined up. I'm moving. I will have been moved by the time this video is published because I'm pre-filming a lot, so I can move. And yeah, I graduated college in May, so yay! So yeah, today I just want to talk about kind of like my post-grad experience and maybe give some advice and tips. I don't know that I'm like the best person to give advice and tips because I still feel confused about my life every day that I wake up, honestly. But, you know, I did get a job within a month of graduating, which isn't always the most common thing with today's economy and things like that. So yeah, I'm just going to share what I did, what I learned, whatever, to just be kind of like a casual, chatty style video, so I hope you guys enjoy. I graduated in May. You guys can see that vlog. Obviously, I did a vlog and a get ready with me, so you guys can check those out. But yeah, I really was very confused about what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to keep freelancing because I do own my own business, which I am going to continue to work on just a lot more part-time. But yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to continue doing that because I was making a full-time income on that. Or if I wanted to go ahead and look for like a full-time 9-to-5, you know, job. And I really wanted to make sure that I looked for the right opportunity. And I think that's my first tip is like, I mean, obviously you have to do what you have to do. I luckily had a backup plan, and I also had an internship that was part-time. So I was guaranteed a paycheck, you know what I mean? If you graduate college and you have no job, you kind of don't have a choice. But if you do have a choice to kind of stay at where you were working in college until the right opportunity comes along, or freelance, or, you know, do something, you know, I really recommend taking your time, because I didn't just apply for the first job that I saw, and I didn't just accept the first offer that I got. I really kind of shopped around and wanted to make sure that I looked for the right opportunity. So for me, location was kind of a priority. I would say it is a priority, and for a lot of people I think that's the case. You know, if you know where you want to be, then that is a great starting off point alone. I knew that I wanted to be in Metro Detroit just because that's a bigger city. I knew that I wanted to stay close enough to family where I could still drive back and forth for birthdays and holidays and things like that. And I have friends there. So those are kind of like my 3 reasons for going to Detroit, and also because I love Michigan. And Detroit is kind of like the underdog. It's like an underdog city, and I'm really attracted to that. It also has a great creative community and just a lot of really cool things about it. So yeah, I really knew that I wanted to be in that area, whether it was downtown Detroit or, you know, one of the surrounding cities, or even as far out as Ann Arbor I was open to. But I knew that I wanted to be on the east side of my state. So that was helpful to know, because it kind of guided me in where I was applying for jobs, and I could really kind of buckle down and start researching companies and making connections. Every time I went to the city, I made sure to give somebody my card or get somebody's card, or, you know, just like make connections as much as I could. I was freelancing, and it was kind of like back and forth about whether I was super adamant about what I wanted to do, but I was always looking. And I think that's important too, even if you don't necessarily think, okay, I know that I want like this XYZ job, whatever. Like, always keep your eyes peeled. It doesn't mean apply to everything, but always keep looking. And I would look on job boards and stuff maybe twice a week, just to scroll through. And it doesn't mean that I applied for jobs twice a week. I just would see what was going on and see what changes are made. Especially if you're looking in a bigger city, there's always going to be new things popping up. Always, always, always. So, you know, just keep your eyes peeled and see what's changing. And with that said, before I get even too far into like job boards and applying for jobs, clean up your social media. Like, I didn't really realize how important this was until I started looking for jobs. And I don't do anything bad. Like, there was nothing illegal on any of my social media or anything like that. But, you know, you just want to make sure that you're displaying a professional presence online as much as you can. I do YouTube, and I have a blog, which is kind of a weird thing, and not everybody does that. But I would say, you know, if an employer found my channel, I don't advertise it to people unless it's specifically in the creative community or like in the YouTube sphere. But if an employer found it, I would have nothing to worry about, I don't think. But for like Facebook and Twitter and things like that, they do look. So I really, really recommend just making them private Or for my Twitter, I don't like to make it private because it is kind of industry related to social media and things like that. I tweet about that stuff a lot, but I just try to limit what I say. And, you know, I do personal things, and there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think, unless you're applying for like the most professional, crazy, strict job ever. I don't think it's wrong to have like a personal Twitter and tweet about your sandwich or whatever, or like music you're listening to. But, you know, you don't want to be like super sexual or talk about drinking too much or like, you know, things like that. And that's just the name of the game. Employers do look, you know, clean things up. My Facebook, I didn't even realize, like I always thought that it was very private and stuff, or like friends only, but I looked, there's a view as feature, which you just go into your profile and there's, I don't remember how to get to it. I'll try to list the steps down below, but you can view as public. I clicked that and I was like, oh wow, okay, all my new posts are private, but I have stuff from 2009 that is not, and 2009 was my wild days. Those were like my, you know, my first years in college, so I was like, there's all these pictures of me at parties and stuff. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, that's awesome. So I made sure to private all of those or delete whatever. So yeah, just make sure you do a thorough cleanup before you even get started applying, because if an employer Googles you and sees that, that's an automatic no matter what your resume looks like. Also, make sure that your LinkedIn is good. Get a good professional looking picture, and it doesn't mean you have to hire a photographer or anything like that, but just go outside in your city or take a picture against a white background or something like that and just make it look really nice. Don't have your tattoos hanging out and like a ton of makeup on and your hair looking all crazy. Just try to look professional and nice, because those things, again, employers do look them up. I think every interview that I had, I could see that somebody had viewed my profile like the day before or the day of from that company. So, you know, pay attention to that stuff and make sure your resume and your LinkedIn are updated, and just, you know, there's tons of resume tips and stuff like that online, so I'm not really going to like go into that. And I don't honestly know if my resume is the best or what, but I did, you know, go through it when I graduated and tried to make it as good as possible and had other people look over it and things like that. Yeah, so as far as applying for jobs, you know, I did start looking before I even graduated, but I really think that I could have started earlier. I just, like I said, I wasn't really sure like what I wanted to do, but if you're really adamant about it, getting a job like right as soon as you get out of college, I would start looking probably honestly in like December, like if you graduate in May. I'd start looking a few months ahead of time, and the worst that'll happen is they'll say like, oh, you know, we have a position open now, and at least you'll know that you have companies interested in you. And you know, you can always kind of try to negotiate later or try to start part-time or something like that while you're in college. But honestly, I would have preferred to have started looking earlier. I wasn't sure. I pretty much used LinkedIn to look for jobs a lot. They have a really good job feature, and it's really cool because you can apply with your LinkedIn profile. You can upload your resume. It's like very easy for the most part compared to a lot of other websites and stuff that I've used. And then I also use Indeed a lot. Indeed is like my favorite. I think that's where I found my job. Yeah, that's where I found the job that I have now. It was on Indeed.com. And I just, again, like it saves your resume and stuff. So all you have to do is update the cover letter. Always write a cover letter, even if it doesn't ask for it. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I was just reading a statistic that said like, I don't know, maybe it was like 50% or something. Like most employers will automatically throw out your resume if you don't even have a cover letter. And cover letters always confuse me. I'm still confused. Like I don't even know if my cover letter was good that I wrote. I'm so confused. I had to have been somewhat decent because they hired me. They're just weird to me. Like I don't understand what you're supposed to say, but I pretty much just like express my interest and sound very excited about it, because you should be very excited about it if you're applying there, and do a little summary of like your strengths and your background, and just be assertive without being, I don't know what the word is, like assertive without being pushy maybe, like I would really like to meet with you, I look forward to meeting with you, using positive language like that, not like, you know, if you have time, I hope that you will call me and meet with me, like, you know, be confident in your letter and things like that. So always write a cover letter, even if it's just brief. Like I don't think my cover letter was like this book. I think it was like 2 or 3 paragraphs. So I don't know. But always write one. It shows that you took the effort to personalize it. Also, don't send out a generic cover letter. Really personalize it and cater it to the company that you're looking for. Yeah, that's all that I did. I would just apply like a few times a week. The amount of people that call you versus the number of things that you apply for is ridiculously low. So don't get too discouraged. It got to a point where I was just like, dude, like I'm never gonna find a job. And I know it was only like a month and a half or not even, but that feels like forever when you are, unsure about your future and wanting to just move on to the next step in your life. It does feel like forever. So don't get too discouraged. And, if it goes too long, like I think if it would have went a while longer, like a couple months or something, I was already kind of like re-looking over my resume, making sure there was nothing wrong with it, like grammatical errors. It's easy to do things like that, and having other people look at it who are in your industry that you want to go into, and just kind of refining your goals and refining your steps and stuff like that is never a bad idea. But at the same time, don't let it get to you too much, because the economy is getting better. It's not as bad as it was like 5 years ago, but it's still not the best in the world. And so there's just the job market, and it also depends on what you're going into. Like my field is it's getting pretty saturated, I think, like marketing and communications and social media and all of this stuff. It's honestly getting kind of saturated. So I knew that going into it, and I knew that I was going to have to use some of my other skills, maybe that I didn't necessarily see as my career. I knew that I was going to have to kind of pull those out of the bag to make myself stand out. With that said, interviewing is a whole nother story. If you guys would like me to do like an interview tips or something, I've thought about doing like a get ready with me, like fake get ready with me for an interview or something. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing that. But I honestly don't have a huge issue with interviews, and I think it's weird because I'm like the most awkward human being ever, but I just really try not to get nervous. And I'm like this with like taking exams and stuff too. Everyone's always like, how are you so like stress-free? Honestly, I don't do a ton of preparation before interviews because I don't want to sound like a robot. And some people really like to rehearse and really like to practice. And the things that I do is I research the company as best as I can. Glassdoor is a great resource for that. You can see employee reviews, and you can see like who the CEO is, and just like a lot of different details. You can even see sample interview questions and experiences and stuff, so you kind of know what to expect. So I will look at that website. I will just kind of do a Google search and go on the company's website and stuff and see like key info and everything. But, beyond that, I don't really do a ton of preparation just because I don't want to be super nervous and super stoic and like rehearsed when I go into it. So just realize that when you're in an interview, you are talking to another human being. And I think a lot of the times, I don't know, I think maybe I'm a little less nervous about it because I used to do a lot of interviews. When I worked in retail management, I did so much hiring and interviewing, so I kind of can step into the interviewer's role, I guess. So maybe that's why it's a little easier for me, but they're human beings. Like, they are not robots, or like they're not like the scariest people on earth. I mean, obviously, again, it depends on what kind of job you're applying for. If you're applying for a job in a prison, it's probably a lot scarier than applying for a job in marketing. But just talk to people. And I know from when I was a hiring manager, my biggest thing when hiring was the personality. Like, skills you can teach, but if you are a good person and you can tell that you're like an honest person and a driven person and a hardworking person and that you really want it, that's going to give you the one up over the person, even if they have a little bit more experience or more skills or something like that. Skills can be taught. So really just try to show your personality, show who you are, and just be very positive. Employers love to hear words like teamwork and like communication and, friendly. Like, they like hearing those things. I mean, think about it. What do you want to go to work to? Do you want to go to work to the person who's like grumpy and like antisocial, or to the person who's like, hey, how's it going? Like, so nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. Like, obviously that answer is very clear. So just be yourself. Best advice I can give you for interviews: and dress the part. Dress very nice. If you're in doubt, wear a full suit. Like, that's what I always tell people. Or for women, wear, a jacket and pants, because you don't want to go underdressed. That's the last thing you ever want to do. Go overdressed if you have to. Actually, go overdressed all the time. That's like pretty much what I always wear for an interview. So yeah, what what else? So location, clean up your social media, resume, interview. Yeah, I think that's really all the tips that I have. Also, this is a tip that one of my friends, he told me when I had first graduated. He was like, I don't really know how I phrased it. Basically, don't let your ego get too big. Don't be shy to take help from people. And oh my goodness, I think that was some of the best advice I've ever gotten in my life. And maybe because he's a fellow Taurus, he understands how our egos can be. I can be very prideful and very independent, which are good things. I'm not saying that in a bad way. But I do think that when you're in this period in your life, you need all the help that you can get. You know, the reason that I have a home is because I reached out to a friend of mine. I sent her the email and was like, hey, do you know of anything? You know, as soon as I found out that I got the job and I needed to find a house, I started texting everybody I knew in the city saying, hey, like, keep your eyes peeled for me. And, you know, that was really helpful, and people are more than willing to help. Honestly, like, I always feel like I'm an inconvenience when I do things like that, but honestly, people like it. I mean, when I think about it, I like helping my friends. I like to be able to be like, yep, I helped her find that place or whatever. You know, same with jobs. Like, you have connections all over, and we're such a connected society because of social media and the internet and everything. So use your connections to your advantage. You never know who you're gonna know and where they're gonna be and things like that. So don't feel weird about it. I mean, don't be pushy. Don't like be hounding your friend for a job because not everybody can give you a job, but like just a simple like, hey, if you know of anything, or hey, you're in the same industry as me, do you have any advice for me? Would you mind looking over my resume? Just little things like that. Like, you have more help than you think. You just really have to reach out for it and ask for it. So I think that's all the advice that I have, and I wish you guys good luck if you are in a similar situation as me. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. So thanks for watching. Bye!